right. Our first guest is Dr. Moshe Bar, a neuroscientist and director of the Gonda Multidisciplinary Brain Research Center at Bar-Ilan University. And he just published an exciting new book called Mindwandering, How to Improve Your Mood and Boost Your Creativity. Hello and welcome, Moshe.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I'm so happy to have you. You are a wonderful guy, and you do a lot of work with people here in Israel. Explain why you decided to write a book about mind wandering and why it's so important for all of the creative people out there.
Yeah, well, it's a big question. Thank you. Mind wandering has been captivating scientists' mind for the last decade or two because of some discoveries of the brain behind mind wandering. But one mission that I didn't know I had when I started writing this book, and then I realized it, is to rid people of the guilt that they feel when they wander. So society instill in us this feeling that if you're just sitting there and wandering, it's a bad thing, you're procrastinating, you're lazy or whatever, snap out of it and let's do something productive. Mm-hmm. But it turns out that mind wandering itself is extremely productive, and evolution wouldn't have us spend. Did you know that like half of our waking hours we are wandering? Half of our waking hours we are not where our body is. So I think this is pretty amazing that you may be sitting in front of me, but your mind might be somewhere else.
My mind's completely. At the beach right now while I'm talking to
you. So it's pretty amazing, both that we can travel and that we are almost forced to travel because in our mind, that's how it works. So the idea here is that mind wandering is actually by and large good for you. Of course, it depends. It depends on context. It depends on what you have in hand to accomplish, right? If you have to take care of your kids right now or driving very fast on the freeway, mind wandering is not a good idea. But that half of our waking hours where we do wander, actually it's a vehicle for generating creative ideas, for thinking originally, for learning from our memory and from our imagination, and be able to simulate possible futures before we make decisions.
Right. Well, it's so interesting. And since we are the show Holy Land Uncovered, we're talking about we've learned through studying the ancient cultures, not just here in Israel, but India, different cultures that have talked about meditation, other things. Like it's almost like the ancient people kind of knew things that we didn't know, where mind wandering and meditation and being and paying attention was the norm. How is it that Western society, over the past centuries, have kind of created this mold of, okay, if you're in class and you're mind wandering, you're not a good student, or you're not serious? How do you explain that, modern versus the beauty of the past?
It's a great. I'm not really trained to analyze society as in. Why did it make us busy all the time? Why does society want us to escape to some extent, so to be productive and not just be idle? Actually, I really recommend a book by Bertrand Russell called In Praise of Idleness. And this really tells you the benefits of just not doing anything. It doesn't talk about mind wandering. These were the different days, but we understand now what people in India and Tibet and China and all those people that developed the practice of meditation, Buddhism, Hinduism, understood back then. I was in India a couple of years ago, and I saw this great big painting of Buddha sitting meditating, and around him they depicted all the possible distractions. So you see dangerous animals, beautiful women, people with swords that are coming to attract. So you think about all these sources of distraction we have on an everyday, on a moment-to-moment basis, and trying to escape from this distraction. I think is very beneficial also for our thinking, not only for doing, getting your things done, but also for proper mind wandering, so to speak. You do want to minimize the noise, to minimize the distraction. And even if you're just lying on your sofa mind wandering, it's better to mind wander about constructive things. So you have to quiet down all these
That's kind of why the meditation helps. Yes. Right, exactly, because you say so much. I want to hold up the book. Let's talk about also the, since you are a scientist, I know that you've, you're a professor, not just in Israel, but Harvard, USC in the United States. Explain from a scientific standpoint, links between, science and studying brain waves. Are there scientific links showing the benefits of mind wandering and meditation and other practices?
Yeah. So in meditation practice, they keep telling you about don't desire, don't judge. treat thoughts as visitors. All these things that when I encountered them the first time, when I went to my first silence meditation retreat, seemed to me a little bit too flowery, too wishy-washy. But then you understand the meaning, because when you look at it from the brain perspective, you realize that when you, at every given moment, most of us have some expectations. We are expecting something from our environment. Maybe we desire some things from our environment. Maybe we fear some things from that. But there's always these things that are already in your mind when you're experiencing a moment. Mm-hmm. Meditation helps you, from my naive experience so far. I'm not an expert in meditation, but from my joint analysis of this, also from a neuroscientific perspective, meditation helps you quiet down all these expectations. So you really approach a certain moment as close to a child as possible. There's a concept I love that's called beginner's mind, that Suzuki has coined. And the idea there is really to, even if you're an expert, and as adults we are experts in many things, in recognizing people, in kind of categorizing things, if you can suspend all this expertise and actually approach a moment tabula rasa, really with a beginner's mind, you can see even a very familiar flower in a new way, just because you could suspend all these expectations, and we label our environment.
And narratives and things, that names that we give what our mind.
Exactly, and then we just move on, and we miss the moment, and we miss the richness.
Well, so at the end of the day, being present is key.
Yes.
And Moshe, thank you so much. And again, the book is Mindwandering. Be sure to check it out. It's an amazing read. Moshe, thank you, and congratulations. It's on Amazon, everyone. And we're going to take a short break. Please don't go anywhere. We have much more coming up for you on Holy Land Uncovered. Stay tuned.